afternoon. The Committee of Adjustment meeting for the Township of Selwyn for Tuesday, July the 15th. Can you believe it? It's the middle of July already. 2025 will come to order. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of the committee, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest of the general nature thereof? Seeing none, please note that. We are dealing with, first of all, today, file A0825, and I will turn to our planner to announce the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee of Adjustment is holding a public hearing today in accordance with Section 45 of the Planning Act in order to consider two applications for relief from bylaw 2009-021, being the comprehensive zoning bylaw for the Township of Selwyn. Prescribed notice of public hearing was provided via prepaid first class mail to all residents within a 60-meter radius of the property subject to the applications, as well as by a sign posted on the subject fence. The notices were also available on the Township's website. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the plan. A person or public body will otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn, but does not make oral submissions at a public hearing or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment before the committee gives or refuses to give approval to the application. A person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision to an Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Selwyn in respect of the proposed variances before the committee gives or refuses to give approval to the applications, a person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal unless in the opinion of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment, written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment, providing your name and address or email address.
Sorry, Pear, can you just check and make sure your microphone's on?
It is on.
Yeah, maybe just move it up a little bit.
Okay. So the first application that the chair mentioned is A08-25. This is for 47 Darling Drive in the Ennismore Ward. The application is seeking relief in order to construct a garage, an attached garage with a second floor habitable space, the addition of an 8.7 square meter, 93.5 square foot open deck extension, and a new 13.3 square meter, 143 square foot second floor open deck to the existing residence. The variances being requested are to reduce the high water mark setback from 30 meters to 19.2 meters to an attached garage, to reduce the high water mark setback from 30 meters to 15 meters to an open deck extension, to reduce the high water mark setback from 30 meters to 15 meters to a second floor open deck, and to reduce the minimum side yard setback from 3 meters to 2.7 meters to an attached garage. I find that the application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance. I do recommend the application for approval. Given the expansion beyond the existing footprint of the existing dwelling, an archaeological assessment does appear to be warranted in this case. And we have comments from County Public Works, the Conservation Authority, and the Township Public Works Department, all says they having no concern for the application.
Thank you. And I understand that the owner, Jason Payne, is in attendance. Do you have anything you wish to add to the report?
Maybe only that for like.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anyone here in favor or against this application online?
We have no one here for this application, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, so I will bring this to committee. Are there any questions or comments on this? Deputy Mayor, oh, sorry. Member Blank.
To the applicant, your comment around First Nations, you got correspondence from them saying that? Yeah, the area where yeah. So we're going to remove the current back there. Meaning that you're below that above it and the approximately 12 people that go over it rainway for work home.
Any other questions? If not, we will go to the next application, A0925.
Chair, this application is for 1526 12th line in the Smith Ward. This application is for a height relief for a new detached garage. Specifically, the relief is to increase the height from 6 meters to 6.82 meters. Once again, I do find that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. Again, given that the garage is going on a previously undisturbed portion of the property, an archaeological assessment appears to be warranted. And we again have comments from County Public Works and the Conservation Authority, comments of no concern. I do find that, like I said, the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance. I do recommend that the application be approved.
Okay, thank you very much. Madam Deputy Clerk, is there anyone here in favor or against this online?
We have no one here for this application, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and there's no one sitting in attendance. I'll bring it to committee. Any questions? Member Black.
Thank you, through the chair. For the height of the garage is a particular use, we need to do additional height. Again, we've had situations where people have built larger garages than normal.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, in this case, there's not even any storage above the main garage portion. It's for a taller overhead door, so recreational toys.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to approve both applications. Moved by Member Boyko, second by Member Henry, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you very much. Now, we have no deferred matters. Our minutes of May the 27th, 2025. I'm looking for someone to move them. You have a question? Oh, Member Black, seconded by Member Kulis, all in favor. That's carried. Thank you. And a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting is August 12th, 2025. Member Henry, seconded by Member Boyko. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. So we're in a couple of minutes. Yeah, I'm just gonna say there's a couple of minutes before the meeting, council meeting start. All right, we're online. This Township of Selwyn regular council meeting of Tuesday, July 15, 2025 will come to order. We respectfully acknowledge we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Nishnawbe, Sagag, and Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Please observe a moment of silence so that council staff and members of the public can quietly reflect on our duty to the community that we are trying to serve. It's a vote taking. Oh, well. Members of the public, staff, presenters, and members of council, please be advised that meetings are broadcast and recorded and made available on the internet. I would ask that all comments, questions, and answers be directed through me as the chair. This includes the public, staff, and council members. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none, please note that in the minutes. We have our minutes of June the 24th, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to read them? Are there any errors or omissions? If not, I'm looking for someone to move them. Deputy Mayor Black and Councillor Henry, all in favor? That is carried. Is there any discussion out of the minute? Seeing none, we are going to skip the public meeting until 1:30. We're at question period. Madam Clerk, are there any questions that have been sent in?
No questions.
Thank you very much. We will proceed to the staff report from Bryden Erdman with regards to municipal ice storm assistance application. Bryden.
Through you, Mayor. On June 19th, the province announced the launch of the Municipal Ice Storm Assistance Program, or MISA. This program is replacing MDRA, or the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program, that the township was originally going to be applying for funding for the ice storm. The MISA program requirements are more or less mirroring the MDRA program, the exception being there's no longer a cost threshold, 3% all-purpose taxation levy for us to meet. And the deadline's been extended to October 31st, which is fantastic news because it more or less extends our deadline by 3 months. So happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Are there any questions for Bryden?
Mayor, thanks for the report, Bryden. Is there a lot of work, and maybe in answer to public works, is there a lot of work still to be done as far as clearing trees and brush and those sorts of things within the township, or are we fairly far?
Through you, Mayor, we have done quite a bit of work. There's quite a bit of invoices that we've received for contractors coming and assisting, but I'll maybe defer to Public Works and Parks and Recreation for any of the work that's remaining.
For you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, Deputy Mayor Black, there is still quite a bit of work still to do. We've got most of the road allowances cleared up, and we are still brushing things back. But we'll extend the road allowance, so there's quite a bit of work for this year and for the years to come.
I'll follow up through you, Mayor. Yeah. So will those costs be captured as well before we submit our application for reimbursement?
Through you, Mayor, yes. So we're allowed to capture costs right up to the submission deadline of October 31st, 2025. MISA also allows us to submit for any future anticipated costs, but there are some caveats to that. We have to have a quote by certain vendors. We have to have a program in place with an executed agreement. So we would have to look into that before we can provide a final number on what that would look like.
Yes, Councillor Wood.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Senes. Thank you for this, Bryden. Some good news, especially with respect to your final paragraph. It says, final sentence, however, coverage has been approved for a complete replacement of the Lakefield Beach playground equipment at a value of $81,000. That's great news. As one who I spent a long time there over a couple of generations with daughters and 2 granddaughters. It's widely used. Will the $81,000, I know it's less applicable taxes and deductible, will that be sufficient to replace what is there, to add what is there? Will it be less what is there? That's one question. The second, will it be coming back to council to take a look at that very question of perhaps removing from reserves or wherever to augment the 81,000 so that we can get something that fits the need? Maybe you could explain a little bit more about the process going forward in those terms.
Through Mayor. It's a great question. So as council knows, most of the damage to the township from the ice storm was not eligible under the township's insurance policies.
Yeah.
Trees, shrubs, etc., are not considered insured property. Really, the only asset the township had that was damaged by the ice storm that was eligible for compensation from the insurer was the Lakefield playground.
Yeah.
When they were looking at that claim, they approved that 81,000 for a like replacement. So the existing playground structure that was there that was damaged was, I believe, 20 some odd years old. So it's being replaced with a modern equivalent that meets the specifications of the existing structure. So 81,000 is the quote that we received. The township had to acquire 3 different quotes from 3 different vendors to provide to the insurer. That was the lowest one. And my understanding is it's the same vendor that supplied the equipment 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah, follow up. Thank you, through you, Mercedes. So I guess the question is then, will this be the last time the council hears about it, or we will simply see that playground equipment arrive whenever it arrives? Will be there, or will council have the opportunity to discuss, to debate whether we want to put more money into it to augment what $81,000 would buy for the children of the community that enjoy that equipment?
Truthfully, I don't know how council could augment with the insurance claim itself. The claim has to be exactly the same. Whether or not council wants a report on once it's installed, and if there's any future augmentations, I can certainly provide that. But as far as the actual replacement, it's being coordinated more or less through the insurer.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's a negotiate. We're getting the 81,000, period. But council could. This is why I'm asking it as a question. We could decide, could we not? I don't know who I'm asking this through you, Mercedes, to say put another X number of dollars into it so that we would not only get $81,000 of equipment, whatever that looks like, I don't know, and to make something that would be even more special and more used by the children of the community. So I don't know the process.
Yeah, so I think if the majority of council wanted us to come back with a report for something that is over and above what was already there, we'd need that direction from you. Certainly that isn't a project that is on our list for completion this year or in the near future. I don't believe that was identified as an issue in the Parks and Recreation study.
Okay, I put it to council.
Through you, thanks. More just, and this can be a rhetorical question to come back with, but there's a bold section here that says the MISA is now the only provincial disaster assistance program available to support municipal costs related to the March 2025 ice storm. Are there other options that we can go for under other ministries if there's a similar disaster in the future, or is this like our only option moving forward?
Through you, Mayor, what has been communicated to the township by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing is specifically for the ice storm. We can only use MISA. My understanding is that MDRA will still continue to exist as a funding opportunity for future disasters. I think it's just because of the extent and peculiar circumstance of the ice storm that MISA is just the only program for this particular disaster.
Thank you.
I would like to say that Premier Ford did come out to the county after the ice storm and sat with some members of the county council and the warden and found out what kind of extensive damage had been done in the rural areas. And he also brought with him the minister that's responsible for emergency planning. Her name is now, it escapes me. Anyway, she was there too. And it was, I believe, a good catalyst as to why they made changes with this emergency planning. And it's good because we never would have met the threshold to be able to apply in the past with the MRTA. Deputy Mayor Blanc.
Thank you, Mayor Sens. Just again, follow up to Councilor Boyko's questions around the playground in Lakewood Campground and the beach area. So Janice, are you saying that that won't be replaced this summer? It's going to probably be something that gets done next summer?
I'd actually have to check with Mike whether it's getting done this fall. Yeah, I thought it was getting done this fall. Yeah.
This fall?
Yeah.
I'll look just, so if it's a replacement, accessibility guidelines 20 years ago are different than today. So the new structure, does it meet current accessibility guidelines, those sorts of things, or we need to add to that to make it more accessible?
Through Mayor, it's a modern replacement, so it's exactly meeting the requirements of current standards and accessibility standards that the playground manufacturers have to meet. So.
Okay, and I remembered it's Minister Jill Dunlop. She was there.
There you go.
Councillor Coles.
Yeah, I just want to speak to that. Yeah, there's a difference though between inclusivity and accessibility. So like that would come back to kind of John's comment for this, providing more money and thinking of the structure. But I do want to flag something as in regards to the actual design of it, are we kind of overstepping our bounds as councillors in regards to operational design of something versus us just giving money? I don't know how deep we should go on the actual design components of updating the structure. I just want to make sure we're not overstepping.
Janice?
Yeah, so I think the intention as we're moving through this process is we had a playground structure that was damaged. We were able to salvage small parts of it. It's still being used through the summer. Our insurance is going to cover it, and it will, as Bryden has said, it will replace like for like. So there will be a brand new structure that meets today's standards. Will it be an accessible playground like what we're dealing with in the Annismore Waterfront Park? No, that because it's replacing like for like. But there will be a fully updated new structure similar to the old one placed in that location. Certainly, if council wanted to put some more money towards that project, you could send us a way to come back with a report in terms of what we could let you know what types of components could be added. But again, at this point in time, it's really the like for like replacement as a result of the storm. There hasn't been any projects on the books in terms of a replacement of that playground structure. Noted.
I think we're veering a little bit away from the report that's in here with regards to the recommendation that we give Bryden the opportunity to put this application forward.
Thank you, through your Mayor Senes. Anytime that I've had an insurance claim on my truck, it's like for like. I don't end up with a Lamborghini afterwards. So thank you very much for doing your report. I think council can micromanage the heck out of this once it's actually installed and we see what we're getting. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think we're definitely a little bit off.
Sorry, I am beating a dead horse here. Just maybe a friendly compromise to think about this is if we do come forward with a report, maybe we could suggest like a community-based committee to help with the design, because then you would have, we could act not as councillors in providing advice to council and rec, as well as actually have community involvement, if that's uncompromised.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mayor Senes. Mary, that is exactly, Councillor Coles, that's exactly what I had in mind. And I would put forth a motion now. I haven't thought through this motion, so excuse the wording, but something that says that we ask staff to report to council regarding the playground equipment that we would be able to construct, given the $81,000 minus tax and deductible, so that council can then discuss whether to augment the size and scope of the equipment through adding township funds and through establishing a committee to discuss the size and scope of the project. Awkwardly worded, but you get the point, is bring it back to council and let us discuss whether we say $81,000 and look what we're gonna get. Terrific, fine, do it. Or, man, we could put just a couple more $1,000s into that, maybe get something really good, and let's ask the community what they would like to see. That's the purpose of the motion, rather than simply, from this point, it goes forward, and the next time the council gets to look at it, there's the equipment. And we had a chance to do something better. So that's my motion, thank you.
Yeah, so again, in terms of what we can get covered by insurance, what will be covered by insurance is a like-for-like structure. We can't change that.
Understood.
Again, and that work needs to be completed this fall. If council is looking to broaden that project, I don't think you're going to be able to do that based on the type of discussion you're having now to align with a fall project. You mentioned adding a couple $1,000s. You're not gonna get much for a couple $1,000s, and I'm not sure. Again, we'd have to work through how any additions to that project would be funded. So again, the replacement right now, it really is limited to like for like. It would have to be a separate project to augment the playground equipment in that area.
And was the time limit?
Well, we really do want to get the structure that is being replaced. We can get that done this fall. So we certainly would want to get that structure in place this fall so that it's ready for use next season.
Deputy Mayor Black.
I'll second the motion so we can have discussion with council.
Okay, well, we heard from staff as to why that might not be the way to go right now. And I don't know if anybody else has any comment on it.
My comment first.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, so I second the motion to open comments for members of council as well. Councillor Heather says we're micromanaging. I don't think the time is not after it's all installed to make decisions that we want to change something or add a different surface or anything like that. The time is before it's installed in the ground. If we're going to change surfaces or anything like that, we want to do. The equipment, as I understand, is operational at this point. It's been fixed to a point that people are using it safely right now.
A part of it, not the whole structure.
Not all. So part of it is still being used. So the urgency is not necessarily as strong to replace it this fall. Certainly replace it next year. There's a willingness of council to look at other options to add to what's there. So I'm not sure there's that urgency there. I don't believe
Through you, Mayor. So the insurer's already approved the claim, and the ball's already got rolling. The approval's been given to Henderson's to go ahead with the replacement. So they've already been awarded the ability to that work. I don't believe Mike is here today, but he could speak to the timeline with that. As far as the claim goes, I'm not sure that if we were to want to change the specifications, whether it's the surface underneath the equipment or the actual equipment itself, we would still be eligible for that $81,000 less deductible claim. The insurer might just say, we're not giving you the money because it's not within the scope of the terms and conditions of our policy.
I highly doubt that.
I doubt that
I
too.
highly doubt that. I don't believe. Sorry.
Excuse me, I don't think that we should be making comments to that staff. So there is a motion on the floor right now, and is there anyone else who wants to speak? Right, I've called vote. All in favor? That's carried. All right, now
Sorry.
that, yeah,
To be clear, what motion are we just voting on?
John's.
My motion. That's fine.
Sorry. My understanding is that was my motion about coming back to council to see if we want to augment what the insurer is going to give us the $81,000 for.
Oh, okay,
And
so
the-
hold on a second now, there's a bit of confusion. Councillor Henry?
Thank you, through you, Mayor Senes. Thank you, Councillor Boyko and Deputy Mayor Black for confirming what we were voting on there, and I would retract my vote.
Right.
Mayor Senes, should we vote again?
All right, well, first of all, let's vote on the recommendation that's before us, that is allowing Ryan to proceed with the application request. And then we can help me here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So 2/3 vote. Someone who voted well. Yes. All right, so, I'm suggesting you want to reconsider. Oh, okay, reconsideration. Counselor,
Thank you, through Mayor Senes. Yes, I would like to bring forward a motion of reconsideration.
right, and is there a seconder? Lewis? All in favor?
Okay. So now we're reconsidering, so now does the motion come forward again and another vote? Am I right? Right. Okay, so I would like to move through you, Mayor Senes, that this is predicated on the notion that we could use the 81,000 minus the others, so we're not getting 81,000 for playground equipment. We're getting less tax and deductible. So is this an opportunity that we can add to the playground equipment that we have? So I am asking for a report to come to council regarding playground equipment that is possible with the $81,000 funds minus the taxes and the deductible, to discuss whether augmenting the size and scope of additional elements and possibly through involving the community in that discussion.
Taking note of that. Next step is with this motion. And then from staff, authorizing.
Through Mayor, I would have to look at the terms and conditions of our policy and speak with our insurance adjuster to see if that would be possible. As I had mentioned to council, the project has already been approved and put underway with the proponent. So I would have to speak to our insurer to get guidance on what we could or could not do at this point.
No, not really, not further to my past comments.
All right, is there any other comment?
I'll make one more comment through you, Mayor Senes, in response to what Bryden said, and going to the insurer to say, is this okay? If we take the $81,000, thank you very much, but we may want to add an element or two, maybe the grounding or something else, to augment $81,000. You may come back and we may look at it and say, looks great, done. May come back and the insurer says, if you want to add 2 more elements to it, go ahead. That is part of the report that I'm asking back from council. That's all I'm asking. That's all the motion is asking for. We have a chance to add to this. Do we have an opportunity to do so? Do we wish to do so? That's all I'm asking.
Thank you, and I hate to lose the $1,000 that we already told her we get if we alter the process, so I will call for the vote. All those in favor of the motion? That is lost. Now we will go to the recommendation that is before us with regards to the report that Bryden has prepared and that we give him the ability to show the accuracy of the application. I'll have someone move that. Councillor Kulis, seconded by Councillor Henry. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much. 3 minutes before our public meeting begins. And I'm not quite sure how long our next report is going to be. Does sound like a boat leaving harbor. All right. 126. We might go over a little bit with the with this next report here.
Sure. I think it'll be pretty quick. So
Okay.
this is in regard to a coordinated request for proposal through the county for our comprehensive review of our zoning bylaw. County Council at their meeting of June 25th passed a resolution proposing that the county coordinate the process for all lower tiers, the 7 lower tiers that are part of the county's new official plan for the comprehensive review or the lower tiers zoning bylaws. Township staff have looked at this and we are recommending that Selwyn not participate in that coordinated in favor of continuing down the road with our own in-house review of our own bylaw. And further that we're recommending that council direct staff to initiate the process to begin the request for proposal process to have some consultant in place for when the official plan is approved and we start our comprehensive review of our zoning bylaw that is required. Specifically, some of the issues are like comprehensive review of our zoning bylaw is really meant to tailor official plan policies to local geography, demography, history, etc. Right? So it's potentially a very large scope of work if one consultant was to handle all the lower tiers throughout the county. Staff feel that for the kind of attention we need on our zoning bylaw, we know there's a number of issues to be dealt with that we feel it'd be better to have one consultant that we can deal with directly without having to look at trying to create potentially some kind of zoning bylaw that is applicable consistently across the county. That this is more of an opportunity to tailor our local environment, our local regulations for the built form that's suitable for Selwyn. That's staff's position, and those are our recommendations.
Thank you. And the official plan is now posted on the ERB with the ministry, and people have until August the 9th to comment. And so once that commenting period is over, do you have some kind of an idea as to how long it takes before we actually get it approved? Give me a.
I do not. Your worship, I really don't. But that's strictly up to municipal staff and potentially the minister to provide that final.
Yeah. Okay. It's just that it's getting a little closer all the time. So, Councillor Black, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Mr. Sennis. I mean, this came to county council, interpretive discussion around comprehensive zoning bylaw. And the thought was there may be an opportunity because a good portion of it is standardized plan with definitions and those sort of things. That kind of work might be more cost effectively when it's approved, and then it handed off to the individual township staff from more of the local issue, so, so, do you not feel there's any opportunity, for that kind of process to, to bring the base document up and then do the things that are more particular to action, separate?
Uh, Through you, your worship, my only thought on that, it sort of becomes almost a duplication of process where we would be rewriting potentially entire sections, depending on whether, you know, if we have an in-house consultant that assists with the process that may be altering the definitions again. Just as just for council's awareness, since I've been here at the township last 4 years or so, I have a list of about 150 issues need to be addressed for Selwyn. Many of them are site specific, but some are general as well. I think too, that depending on what the issue is, we may want to take a different approach than some other townships. So even though it may be drafted as something that's consistent across all 7 lower tiers, we may take a look at it and say, no, we want to take a different direction on this particular permission, this land use permission, or a setback. We want to take for a reason something a little different from a side yard setback, depending on the context of whether it's in Greenfield or in our rural area. You just may have a different take on it. But I'm worried that it will just be sort of duplicating. Well, the county may do one, we're gonna say, here's what we came up with, and then we'll be rewriting that. So what the efficiency is there, I don't know. But I'm just speculating off the top.
No, thanks for that clarification. Something certainly is different, than most of the municipalities in Peterborough County, so I agree with you that best to go on our own.
We it'd be more efficient and effective if we go on our own. And the reason I asked the question about the official plan is it's not just our official plan that will be approved, it's the 6 other townships in the county. And they're all gonna be looking for consultants, so it's best that we start looking now, getting ready so that, get the best. I will call vote on the recommendation, which is not to go with the county. Moved by Councillor Boyko, seconded by Councillor Coolidge, all in favor, that is carried, thank you. We will now go to our meeting, and, we have before us an official plan amendment, 150P 25007, 8 Burnham Street, part of Lot 1, Session 8, Bigfield Ward, and I would ask that the planner announce the purpose of the meeting.
Thank you, Your Worship. So today's public meeting is for an official plan amendment only, in accordance with the requirements of Section 17 of the Planning Act. Again, this is for 8 Burnham Street. Prescribed notice of public meeting was provided via prepaid first-class mail to all residents with a 120-meter radius of the subject property, as well as by a sign posted on this property, and the notice was available on the county. I'm assuming it was on the county website as well, Jennifer. It's on the township website. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the planning. If a person or public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decision of the council of the county of Peterborough with regard to the official plan amendment, but does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the approval authority before the approval authority gives or refuses to give approval to the amendment, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision to Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the council of the county of Peterborough in respect of the application before the respective approval authority gives or refuses to give approval to the official plan amendment, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing before an appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal unless the impugning of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you miss to be notified of the decision of the council of the county of Peterborough in respect of the proposed amendment, you may make written request to the county of Peterborough with regard to the amendment, providing your name and address or email address. So the subject property is currently zoned main central area. It's a commercial lot. It's zoned local commercial as well, C2. The zoning amendment will be dealt with at a later date. We're just looking at the official plan amendment right now. So we're looking to convert it from main central area to low density residential, in support of an application for severance to create a new severed lot off this parcel. The severance is being dealt with separately as a separate application through file number B52-25. That's also with the county of Peterborough. Today we're only looking at use designation on the subject property. In support of the application, there's two reports submitted: a planning justification report and an archaeological assessment. With regard to the archaeological assessment, there was no artifacts found on the subject property. Just as a bit of background history, MPAC indicates that the existing residence on this lot was built in 1956, and so it has legal non-conforming status as a residence on a commercial property. With regard to provincial and local policy, I find that the application conforms to the required policies, and I would recommend that council support the amendment. With regard to comments, we have comments of no concern from Enbridge, County Public Works, and the Autonomy Region Conservation Authority. We do have a couple of written comments that have come in opposed to the application. One of them is from Craig, James, and Sandra Willoughby. They have four concerns. One of them is congestion along the road regarding parking, snow removal in the winter, and snow storage. Generally, just congestion. And they're worried about the decrease of quality of life in the area. Council needs to address traffic flow in this area, as it's currently two-way street and changes to one way, causing great confusion on motorists in this congested area. I would say that with regard to the severance, the township is currently working through the county and the proponent to have a clear site plan for the proposal to show that there is indeed 2 parking spaces in accordance with our bylaw available for the severance when that severance is processed. The township planning department has not yet provided comments on the severance, awaiting further details on that. With regard to snow storage, it would be the same as every other residential lot in the area. It would be on the lot or in whatever portion of it. It is a narrow road along Burnham Road. However, whatever available road allowance that there is, that will be for snow storage as any other. Right, so those 2 areas. And again, with regard to the congestion, we are not amenable, staff are not amenable to seeking a decrease in the parking required. 2 spaces per. And then the second set of comments is from Michael DeCat. Reads I'll try and summarize as briefly as I can. It's quite a long letter. He says he's generally in favor of infill housing. However, he is not in favor of this proposal. He believes architectural drawings should be presented for how the new structure on the site would reasonably fit into the neighborhood. To that point, I would say that that's not, at the planning approval stage, it's not our expectation. Architectural drawings are generally not required by the township. We don't have architectural control here. It is going to be a single detached dwelling, and that's sufficient in terms of what we need to know for reviewing the severance application. He goes on to say the pros is that it's consistent with provincial policy and urban population densities, and the house footprint is well way back from the roadway. Yeah, and just says given the importance of maintaining the heritage streetscape in the village core, however, the big question is still how will it fit in? Cons and unanswered question. The proposal creates the narrowest residential lot in the neighborhood. Commercial zoning starts on the east side of 8 Burnham. That's incorrect. It actually starts at 8 Burnham. How will this development affect local businesses? It shouldn't. It's currently not a commercial business, and it's just we're just recognizing the existing use of the lot as a residential lot. And how many parking spaces will be lost? No parking spaces will be lost to commercial use. It's not being used for commercial purposes at present time. Will there be parking provided for the new homes residents? Yes. How many parking spaces are proposed? It better be 2. Yes. And they will be located and will be located directly in front of the new structure or recessed off the side. That's up to, we're waiting on details design on parking area design. Will parking detract from the will detract from the current streetscape and be located on what normally is a front lawn? Again, there's provisions in our zoning bylaw that them to restrict along the front other than the driveway. So we have an L-shaped parking area, except for the driveway, there needs to be 2-meter separation between the street line and that parking area. If a severance is granted, what safeguards do residents have that ensure negative changes won't be made during the design and construction process? Again, that's all Ontario Building Code in terms of safety of design. Where will snow be piled up? In the property's yard or in whatever is available in allowance? Is it possible to put the structure which add value to the neighborhood and stack instead of detracting from it? I'm not aware that property values, again, it's not one of the, it's subjective. Ontario Land Tribunal has said property values are not a valid planning issue. How tall will the future structure be? Max 11 meters, according with our zoning bylaw and the R1 regulation. Again, but I do believe that the particular design on this property is for a 1-story building. How many trees will be lost? I couldn't say. We don't have a tree cutting bylaw. Will there be windows located, especially ones which normally face adjacent neighbors? Again, that's sort of one of the with regard to, it's called unprotected openings. Robert can help me out with this, but it's an Ontario Building Code requirement. Maybe you can speak to that, at least as long as it's part of the face the neighbor's property.
Through the Ontario Building Code specifically regulates spatial separation between houses. The important triggering factors to that are the area of the exposed building face, so the amount of sidewall that faces a property line, the amount of unprotected openings, so things such as windows are considered unprotected openings because they have no fire resistance, and then the distance to the property line. So there's tables in the building code that dictate, depending on the distance to the property line, how much unprotected openings you're permitted to have in a particular wall.
Let's see, in conclusion here, it's just assurances that the severance won't impact adjacent residential properties, detract from historical character of the neighborhood, or take away valuable parking from local businesses. Yeah, just concern over the lot size. The lot is going to be big enough, and again, it's part of the severance. Planning and building department. Generally, just from what preliminary been proposed, where we believe that it would be feasible to create that severance, we just want to be very assured of that because of the small size of the lot that is proposed. But generally, support this official plan.
Thank you very much, and I want to welcome Jennifer Smith, who is here from the county. And Leonard would like to add 2 comments. Take the mic to the back there. And do we have Councillor Whalen online? Welcome, Councillor Whalen.
Okay, am I on? We're good? Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Mayor and Council as well. As you are aware, the County of Peterborough is the approval authority for amendments to the county official plan. So today's public meeting is being held to consider an application to amend the county official plan, and more specifically the local component of the county plan, which includes the land use policy specific to Selwyn Township. The application, which has been assigned file number 15OP-25007, is for the lands that are located at 8 Burnham Street in the Lakefield Ward. The application was received in May 2025 by One Community Planning on behalf of owner Eileen Nolan. The Planning Act requires that at least one public meeting be held for OP amendments in order to provide the public with information on the proposal and to solicit public input. As Per noted, the official plan currently designates these lands as main central area. The OPA will have the effect of changing the designation to residential to facilitate the creation of a residential lot, again, through the severance process, and allow the uses that are permitted in the residential designation on the whole of the site. The main central area designation, which is what the lot is currently designated, is intended to act as a focal point of activity and the principal retail center within Brookfield. As a result, a wide variety of retail, office, personal use, institutional, cultural, recreational, open spaces are permitted in this designation. Intensification is encouraged in the main central area rather than linear extension, and buildings of up to 3 stories are permitted within the designation. Residential uses are only permitted in the form of apartments forming part of a commercial building. Permitted uses within the low density residential designation include single detached and single attached dwellings, semi-detached and duplex, home occupation uses, B&Bs, and complementary public and institutional uses. The proposal to redesignate to residential is what matches how the property is currently being used now. In the current OP, the redevelopment of lands in the vicinity of the Otonabee River and Water Bridge and Queen Streets is encouraged to anchor the main central area. Also, as a side note, the property is described as settlement area in the county official plan. The county official plan in a settlement area promotes settlement areas as preferred growth centers and notes that future growth should be directed to those settlement areas that currently have servicing systems or that can reasonably expected to obtain them in the future. Lakeville is one of those service settlement areas within the county. As Mayor Sendis noted, I do want to flag that the new county OP, which is currently posted on the ERO until August 9th, 2025, in the new OP, the subject property is actually designated residential as opposed to main central area. In the new OP, the use will be in conformity with the OP once approved. However, this OPA has been initiated at this time due to the uncertainty of the timing of the approval of the new OP. And as noted, the county has received a concurrent severance application. The purpose of the OPA, which is the subject of the public meeting today, is related to the appropriateness of a residential designation on the subject property. And as noted by Per, the technical practicality or feasibility of creating a new residential lot is what is addressed through the consent process. Thanks for sticking with me. I have a few more paragraphs left. Prescribed agencies were circulated for their input, and a joint notice was given for both the notice of complete application and notice of public meeting by email, website, and Peterborough Examiner. As Per noted, we have received some comments from Enbridge, County Public Works, and Otonabee Conservation. There have been 2 submissions that Per detailed for members of the public. When it comes to next steps in the process, the county is looking to Township Council for a recommendation on the official plan amendment. Once received, county staff will prepare a planning report for County Council, which considers all relevant official plan and provincial policies as well as public and agency comments. When County Council has made a decision, a notice of decision will be provided in accordance with the Planning Act, and that decision will be final if there are no appeals within the 20-day appeal period. If any member of the public wishes to receive a notice of decision for this application, then a written request must be made to the county. Those are my comments. If there are any questions.
We also have the consultant here for this application, Jamie Wolfing. Do you wish to make comment?
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Jamie Hofling, and I'm here representing the landowner for this official plan amendment. As Ms. Kleinsmith said, she kind of stole my speech. the owner of the lands could apply for this the severance application if they wait, as you said, for the new official plan to come into effect. So they are just initiating this site-specific one now because they do not want to wait any longer to make this severance application to bring forward to start planning for their property. So this is the way that the municipality and the county have agreed or decided to move the lands, and we have just taken upon ourselves to move a little bit quicker. If there are any site-specific questions from council or members of the public, I'm here to answer them, as well as the owner of the lands. They do intend to reside. The goal is to create a passive house that is environmentally friendly, fits in with the local neighborhood where they can age in place. I think that what they're going to bring forward will work with the zoning bylaw. We're confident, and we do have our draftsmen working on that detailed concept plan now so that we can get that forward to staff in the county to create that assurance that a small dwelling will fit on the proposed lot. Again, if there's any questions, I'm here, but this official plan amendment, which is the application we're here to speak to today, does meet all of the provincial and local planning policies.
Thank you. We may call you back up. And I have, is Councillor Whalen in attendance online?
Councillor Whalen is here.
All right. And we also have Asher Abaya.
They are not here. Both Asher and Ala are not in attendance. Okay. Just a reminder to council members to make sure your mic's on.
I'm not liking this system.
I'm with you, Sharon, or Madam Mayor. If you could just confirm that your mic is on and just speak close to the mic for now, while we work out some issues. But we have no one else here virtually for this application.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here in favor of the application? If you can go to the podium to speak with your name and address. Is there anyone here that is against the application? If you could go to the podium to speak. All right, thank you. If you can give us your name and your address, sir.
Craig Willoughby, 120 Water Street. Thank you very much for the council's time. I'll be very short and sweet with this. I love Lakefield. I drive to and back from Peterborough every day. I love the dynamics of the town. We have a beautiful village. I'm really concerned about changing the flavor of the whole area. I'm concerned that this lot is too narrow. Are the plans to demolish the existing home there and widen up the lot, or are the plans to leave that existing home there? This home, if you said that it's going to be 11 meters or 10 meters high, is going to be approximately 34 feet high, and that's going to destroy all the sunlight on my back garden right now. So it's dramatically going to affect my quality of life and my privacy. So, you know, I just want to live and let live, but you know, again, this wasn't the reason why I was so attracted to Lakefield, and I just want to maintain this beautiful character of the city that we have and we enjoy so much. It's such a dynamic to it, and council, as your legacy, please preserve our beautiful little city. I joke to my family and friends that it's Key West North. Welcome. It's just a beautiful little town. Please preserve this and do what's right for our town. I noticed that you have a small building in a small home on Bridge Street, and it's not my idea. I think that deserves to be down in the Peterborough homeless area. That's not my idea of a Lakefield residence. So please put in something that stays within the character of the town. I'm concerned about sunlight. I'm concerned about privacy. But council, you have a difficult job. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Willoughby. Is there anyone else that's here to speak against this application? You'd have to go to the mic and give your name and your address, please.
Isabel Ty at 132 Water. I just have a question. I wondered what the dimensions of the proposed severed lot is. It's not listed on any information I got.
Okay, I'm going to ask Ms. Opperning to answer. There was a question to you from the gentleman previously. If you can go up to the mic too. Is there another question?
Yeah, it's not a
Did you
question,
give
just
your
a
name and address?
Ethabel Ty at 132 Water. Just another comment about parking. Right now, there's only one parking spot in front of the proposed lot, which means a second parking spot would be adjacent to the one that's already there, which means that eliminates one parking spot on the street. That street is so congested. Right now, I think in front of the existing building that's there now, there are maximum of 4 vehicles can park there, which would eliminate that to 3. Is there a parking spot in front of your place, Brian?
You should not.
Oh,
be-
sorry. I don't know if
You're
there's
here
another.
to give us your,
Okay,
your
so it would
comments, but
eliminate.
We're not having
I'm
a
sorry. It would
conversation.
eliminate at least one parking spot, which that street is really busy because it's the only one coming down off the main street. So anyway, I have a concern about that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Opperning. If you can go up and answer the questions from both Mr. Willoughby and Ms. Ty.
Sorry, I'm not sure of the specific question, Your Worship, from Mr. Willoughby. What was your question? Okay. Yes, I can. Yes, so the depth of the lot, through Your Worship, is about 81 feet of depth. The width varies. It's not a perfect rectangle, but the front is about. No, there's not.
Yeah, that was the question.
There are no plans to demolish the existing dwelling.
Mr. Willoughby, so we are online and no one can hear you online. So that's why we have you go to the mic, and having a conversation this way doesn't help the people who are streaming.
Sure, just to continue on, and maybe I can address a few questions in one go. The applicant is proposing to keep the dwelling. They are just severing off the side yard of their property to utilize it as an infill lot to build a small home. They're looking to build an eco-built home. You can go and look online at their models. They're small, approximately, I think 700 square feet is what she's proposing. It doesn't look like a mobile home or a CCAN. It's nothing like that. It's a beautiful little home, which would fit in very well with the character and the charm of Lakefield. They will have their on-site parking. That's a requirement of the zoning bylaw in order to get a building permit. So there will be on-site parking for each of these properties. That's the detailed design that we're doing right now, which will come forward. We can't go through with the severance if we can't show and demonstrate that we have all of the servicing, which includes parking. So we're not going to be taking away physical parking spaces. All of our parking will be on site. The curb cut. In the front, it's about 35 feet, and in the rear, it's about 41, approximately. I don't have it in front of me. That's correct, just a slight jog. It's wider in the back than in the front. We haven't done that yet. That's the detailed design we're doing right now. It will come into a few different things will come into play, including, as the CBO said, that limiting factor on the windows and the openings. That all comes into play with the distance that is required. I imagine we will need some relief from the zoning bylaw in terms of setbacks or lot coverage, depending on what we end up with, but that's another application that will come to council.
Mr. Willoughby, you're continuing to ask questions where people streaming can't hear you, so it's ineffective and inefficient.
It's sorry, Miss Eileen. It's a prefab, the eco build. So EcoBuilt
doing
is
the same thing
sorry,
here.
EcoBuilt.
No.
EcoBuilt is the name of the company that she's utilizing, which is prefab. It yes.
No, but, yeah, I know, but just the same, it's something that, people do listen online and they can't hear you. So it, she's, it would have been good, but you've done it now, so, okay.
Through,
All right,
if I may, through the worship, I just want to remind everybody that we're here for the official plan amendment, which is just the land use in principle. If we should remove it from local commercial or from the central area and put it into residential, there will be an opportunity for further discussion on a zoning bylaw amendment, and neighboring property owners within 120 meters will be circulated. And that will be another process. We'll be back at council. So this is just to change the land use in principle from Main Street to residential.
thank you for that clarification. And thank you. People are misunderstanding that this is the time that we bring our complaints when that can happen at a future time. Is there anyone else here that is not in favor?
Just not in favor because I don't have enough information. So my name is Linda Yields and I am at 9 Charlotte Street, so just around the corner. So I'm very familiar with the parking challenges that we have in that very, very busy area because we are commercial, and also the snow challenges. So in the winter time, because snow gets piled up, because some places just don't have place to put the snow, and so then they end up on the street, and then we end up with even more parking challenges and parking where parking shouldn't be because it's such like an issue parking in that whole little area. So then it becomes dangerous when you're driving, you're trying to make a turn, when you're walking your dog, whatever it is, it actually becomes dangerous. So if this is going to put any extra stress on that, that is something that I have a concern about. So I just wanted to bring that forth and mirror what Atherby said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else that is not in favor of this application? All right, I'm going to bring this to council. Are there any questions? Oh.
Yeah, my concern is if it's a prefabricated home, it won't fit in. There's got to be drawings. Where are they? I just won't fit in. That's my concern.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. I didn't get your name or address. It's for the record.
Yeah, it's Michael DeCat. I made a written submission at 9 Charlotte.
All right, thank you. Mr. DeCat. All right, I'm bringing this to council. Councilor Boykoff.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Senes. Yeah, the way I understand this is before any house is ever constructed on this lot, if indeed ever this lot is severed, that is several steps down the road. And so this is step one, and those other steps may or may not ever happen. So all we are really discussing today is there is a house that is right there on Burnham Street that has been there, God, even longer than I've been around. So it's been there a long time. 1956 it was built, and it is now zoned as a main central area, which means it's a business area. Should this house that has been a residence since 1956 continue to be zoned a main central area, or should we say it is a residence and should always be a residence, therefore let us change the designation to low density residential? And my belief is, yes, let us call it what it has been since 1956 and make this whole lot, low density residential. That's all we're doing today. Going forward, then we are going to look at if the proponent wishes to sever and wishes to meet all of the guidelines with respect to planning and what the building and planning is going to say must be done, has to be done with this setback, has to be done with having 2 parking spaces, must be this far apart for fire separation. All of the issues that are being discussed, those will be discussed down the road. So all we're discussing now, if I am right, understanding this correctly, is all we are saying is, let us make the house, that lot on which this house sits, that has been a residence since 1956, low-density residential lot. We're just saying, let it be called and zoned for what it is. That's all we're doing right now today.
Yes, and as has been said, if Ms. Nolan had preferred to wait until we get her official plan, who knows when that's going to happen? 'Cause we've been waiting 3 years. It automatically would have been changed to residential anyway. She wouldn't be going through this process. It is in the official plan to be residential, because that's really what it is. So she's chosen not to wait for it to be approved, and probably wise on her part, because we don't know when we're going to get it. We had promises before from the province that our official plan was coming, and we're still waiting. So is there any other question? Councillor Henry.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Sen. It's not so much of a comment or a question, it's more than comment. Definitely echoing Councillor Boyko's clarification on this topic of what we are actually here for today. But I do believe council needs to know concerns in general of the area, being park, traffic flow, and those things that we're gonna have to address in the future. If anything, this move actually protects the neighborhood in this sense, in my interpretation, by making it all residential instead of business. Because there are commercial properties on that block that I'm all too familiar with, and knowing what could potentially happen there, I would definitely put my focus in that area instead of expanding the residential area. I'd be more concerned with the existing commercials already. That's my.
Just to be clear, you no longer own that property.
Thank you. I actually never owned the property. I was a tenant, and I've sold I did an asset acquisition or disbursement, and I no longer operate a business out of that location, so there's no conflict of anything there either.
I think that's important to note. All right, are there any other questions?
Thank you, through Mayor Senes. Yeah, I echo the comments, the previous comments, that this would become residential, low-density residential down the road without any kind of public meetings for it. So I think from that perspective alone, there's really no reason not to support the motion today to move the property into density residential. The new official plan, whenever it comes, is going to allow they call them secondary suites on many properties in built-up areas. The province, of course, wants increased density in built-up areas, so council is going to be faced with this kind of question a lot more often. Now, secondary suite is part of the original property; it's not a severance, but the same situation occur on a private lot where secondary suite is approved for that lot. So, although there's a potential for a severance here down the road, which is again another public meeting and another opportunity for people to have input into it, the secondary suites will create the same situation. It just won't be a severance anymore. So, council has to be fully informed of the impacts and the effect on the municipality and the relevant problems from folks to make sure that it does fit into the law. Certainly at this point, there's no reason to not support the motion today, because it would happen regardless.
Moving the recommendation, Deputy Mayor Black. And
I will
seconded
second.
by Councillor Boyko. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. All right, we are going to move on to our second public meeting, which is official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for 45 Bishop Street, part of Block F, registered plan 9, Lakefield Ward, Care.
I should read the preamble over again, because the first one I just focused on the fact that it was a section 17 application. This is now section 17 and 34. So I'll just go through that. So yes, for 45 Bishop, we're holding a joint public meeting with the county through section 17 and 34 of the Planning Act for official plan amendment and zoning amendment. There's no public meeting required for the subdivision, but there is also subdivision proposal here, of course, right? The prescribed notice of public meeting was provided to be a prepaid first-class mail to all residents within a 120-meter radius of the property subject to the application, as well as by a sign posted on the subject land. The notices were also available on the county and township website. Notice, I believe, was also posted in the Examiner. The notice circulation complies with the requirements of the Planning Act. A person or public body would otherwise have the ability to appeal the decisions of the Council of the County of Peterborough with regard to the official plan amendment, or the decision of the Council of the Township of Sullivan with regard to the zoning bylaw amendment, but does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the respective approval authority before the approval authority gives or refuses to give approval to the amendment. The persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions to the public meeting or make written submissions to the Council of the County of Peterborough or to the Council of the County or to the Council of the Township of Sullivan in respect to the applications before the respective approval authority gives or refuses to give approval to the official plan amendment or the zoning amendment, the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, unless in the opinion of the tribunal there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you wish to be notified of the decisions of the councils of the County of Peterborough or the Township of Selwyn in respect to the proposed amendments, you must make written request to the County of Peterborough with regard to the official plan amendment or the Township of Selwyn with regard to the zoning and bylaw amendment, providing your name and address or email address. This application is for 45 Bishop. The proposed subdivision consists of 2 4-unit townhouses and 4 semi-detached dwellings for a total of 16 residential units. The official plan amendment is needed in order to support the proposed townhouse dwellings, as those are not permitted within the low-density residential designation currently applicable to the subject property. The zoning also needs to be changed from the current residential type 1 to residential type 2 and residential type 3 in order to permit the proposed semis and townhouse dwelling units. There will also be some site-specific zoning for setbacks, except configurations here. Today, we're just holding, the recommendation is that we just hold the public meeting. We won't be making any decisions here. We'll bring the matter back before council with the details of the zoning amendment as well as draft plan conditions in regard to the project. One of the matters that's outstanding is there's a small strip of land to the rear of the property that's publicly owned by the Township of Selwyn. That lot is surplus to our needs as the township, but it is needed for the stormwater management plan for this development. We are currently, township is currently working with the proponent to transfer those lands, but has not yet been completed. And it's our recommendation from our peer reviewer as well as staff agree that that transaction needs to occur before decisions are made. With regard to again, generally, I find that the proposal meets provincial and township policy. I do recommend, I'll just say that it conforms at this point in time, and staff are supportive on decision of today. With regard to comments, we have comments of no concern from Nexicom, Hydro One, Enbridge, and County Public Works. The county also forwarded me to some comments I didn't have before from Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board. They also have no concern, and Bell Canada also has no concern. With regard to Conservation Authority, they're part of our peer review process. I haven't attached those comments at this time. I'll bring those forward with draft plan conditions because they have a number of detailed design issues. But generally, at this conceptual level, the Conservation Authority is also in support of the development. But there will be detailed design requirements as we go forward with the subdivision agreement and draft plan conditions that need to be satisfied with regard to the stormwater management Conservation Authority. We do have a couple of comments have come in again with concerns and opposition. The one comment is from David and David Lee. They are generally saying are generally concerned with the stormwater management. So to that point, I'll say that functional servicing report and stormwater management plan have the preliminary have been submitted and reviewed by our peer reviewers, and it's been satisfactory to township peer reviewers with regard to this conceptual level. To move forward with eventually making a recommendation for approval. The detailed design of that system will come forward as through subdivision draft plan conditions and subdivision agreement. The other comment is from Stan and Gail Zukowski. They had a number of questions and concerns. Let's see here. Why has the application? One of the questions was, why has the application changed from 8 single-family dwellings, low density, to the medium density with 16 dwellings? With regard to that question, this particular application has been consistent since it was applied for in 2020 with the units as I described previously in my report. We are concerned to damage to the roadway. Are there plans to improve the roadway, to add sidewalks, etc.? That's all still under review in accordance with our sidewalk policy, and it'll be subject to detailed design requirements, and recommendations on that will be brought forward through draft plan conditions. Bring this back again at a later date. Will the repairs or charges to the roadway be paid for by the developer or the township?
We don't help you out with that a little bit.
Some of the nuances in here, some of it's covered with development charges. I think we take securities for some of it.
Through you, Mayor, and I may need some assistance from the public works manager, but in the subdivision agreement, when we get to that point, we'll take securities to ensure that the developer restores our roadway to the condition that we expect to this detailed design work, and there has been construction cost estimates that have been developed for potential urbanization and putting in the necessary infrastructure to service that subdivision in conjunction with a functioning service report that was done as supporting documentation for that development.
If you want, we'll interrupt you.
Yeah, no, sorry, thanks. Through you, Madam Mayor, yeah, just to pick up what Rob said. Any localized upgrades that are required for servicing that site, water, sewer, localized upgrades would be borne by the developer themselves. The development charges really are to account for system-wide upgrades, like in a broader capacity constraints that might be required for developments, but based on the functional servicing reports and the peer review comments that we got back from Wills, there are no constraints with respect to water, sewer capacity for this development.
I'll continue on with some of the questions here. We'll just go over from the Zukowskis. We are concerned about the increased traffic flow. Again, there was a traffic impact study that was reviewed for the satisfactorily reviewed for the site. How will the sewer system for the new development be tied to what is already existing? Again, there's been a functional servicing report to demonstrate the feasibility of tying into the existing with the detailed design coming through, again, through subdivision agreement and draft plan conditions. Will extensive upgrades need to be done to accommodate 16 new dwellings? Again, in accordance with the functional servicing report, general servicing it is feasible, and the exact details of how that will be done will come through, like I said, engineering detailed design at subdivision draft plan conditions and subdivision stage. Will any upgrades or extensions be paid for by the developer or taxpayer? That's sort of the previous question. There's a split between securities, development securities, and development charges. I had purchased my home with the knowledge that homes may be built. I can accept low density res. Having townhomes in my backyard is not acceptable. They're taller. Concern over aesthetics of the neighborhood, impacting property values. Unfortunately, as I mentioned in other previous public meetings, the Ontario Land Tribunal, formerly the Local Planning and Appeal Tribunal, Ontario Municipal Board, have determined that property values and sight lines, aesthetic sight lines, not safety sight lines for traffic, etc., are generally not considered valid planning concerns. Over the 2 decades I have lived with my children here, I think it's Yeah, so this goes on, it's a bit of a longer sentence, but it's generally a concern for snow loads, snow storage, and walk with pedestrians in the wintertime. And then a question related to that over, are there any planned improvements for generally along Bishop Street? To that question, I'd already responded to them that Public Works would be the people to contact on general municipal plans for roadway improvements. But as far as snow storage goes, that would be either on the properties within the cul-de-sac, the proposed cul-de-sac, or along the Bishop Street proper. Snow storage it goes within the road allowance or off its property. And I think that was pretty much all the Zukowski's. So that's all I have from my end.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll now go to Jennifer Kleinsmith, if you'd like to take the mic.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. For the second time, I have a few comments. Forgive me if I'm going to be repeating some of the information I just shared with you, but for the consideration of any folks online, I am going to be repeating myself a little bit. So bear with me if you can. As you are aware, the County of Peterborough is the approval authority for amendments to the county official plan. Today's public meeting is to consider an application to amend the county official plan, more specifically the local component of the OP, which contains land use policies for Selwyn Township. The application, which has been assigned file number 15 OP-21007, is for lands located at 45 Bishop Street in Lakeville Ward. The application was received in 2021 by Zelinka Priamo on behalf of the owners. The Planning Act requires at least one public meeting be held for OP amendments in order to provide the public with information on the proposal and to solicit feedback. As Per noted, the applications that are subject to the public meeting today are to support a proposed plan of subdivision. The province removed the requirement for a public meeting on subdivision several years ago, which is why that specific application, while informing the ones that we're looking at, is not the subject of the public meeting. The purpose of the application, the official plan currently designates these lands as low density residential, and the OPA will have the effect of changing the designation to medium density residential. The specific language of the official plan amendment will be developed with the developer's consultant and township staff on the precise wording. Permitted uses in the low density residential designation include single detached, semi-detached, and duplexes, home occupation uses, B&Bs, and complementary public and institutional uses, but does not include townhouses. Permitted uses in the medium density residential designation include row or cluster houses, quadruplexes, low-rise apartments, street townhouses, or other similar density housing, home occupation uses, and complementary institutional uses. And so as noted, this proposed plan of subdivision is a combination of semi-detached and townhouses, which is what the trigger is for the OPA. As I noted in our previous public meeting, the property is described as settlement area in the county official plan. That the county level OP policy promotes service settlement areas as the preferred growth areas and notes that future growth should be directed to those settlement areas that currently have servicing systems. Lakefield is one of those serviced settlement areas. And again, similar to the last public meeting, in the new OP, which is on the ERO, the official plan has collapsed the low density residential designation and the medium density residential designation into a single residential designation. So we're in a similar position that were the new OP approved, we would not be here for the official plan amendment. But in respect of the vagaries of approval, that's why the OPA is being sought right now. The prescribed agencies were circulated from the for their input, and a joint notice was given for both the for the public meeting for both the OPA and the zoning bylaw. I'm not going to repeat the comments that Per detailed, since I don't have anything to add to that. We had also previously received requests for notifications of any meetings or decisions for members of the public, and so they were specifically circulated in advance of this public meeting. And again, Per has detailed the objections that have been received from the public. Process-wise, as noted, county's not seeking a recommendation on the official plan amendment from Township Council at this time. However, at some point in the future, we will be looking for that recommendation for the amendment. And again, at that point, once received, county staff will prepare a planning report for County Council, which will consider all the relevant official plan and provincial policies, as well as public and agency comments. When County Council has made a decision, a notice of decision will be provided in accordance with the Planning Act, and that decision will be final if there are no appeals within the 20-day appeal period. If any member of the public wishes to receive a notice of decision for this application, then a written request must be made to the county. And those are my hopefully slightly shorter comments on this.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. We also have a virtual attendance of consultant, Carl Repka and Caitlin Crowley. Do you have anything you wish to add to this application?
Hi, yes, thank you. Through the chair. My name is Caitlin Crowley, planner with Selenka Priamo. So I am just here as the authorized agent on behalf of the owner for these applications, and obviously with me I also have Carl from Counterpoint Engineering. Both of us are just here to answer any questions that council or the public might have. I just wanted to thank also the township and county planner for their presentations. They did a really great job of addressing the public comments that were circulated prior to this meeting. So I just wanted to thank them for that, and nothing further to add to that.
All right, thank you very much. I do have a question of you before I let you go. When we find out if there's anybody in favor and against, is this intended to be freeholds or a condo? Do you know?
At this point in time, the options are open. So I am not aware personally of whether there will be freehold or condo. So that is typically decided after planning approvals are in place. Kind of, when the building starts to go up, it'll kind of depend on the market for whether they're freehold or a condo.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, is there anyone else in attendance that is in favor of this application? I'd like to go to the podium. Is there anyone here that is against the application? To go up to the podium, please, ma'am. And give me your name and your address and your reasons why.
My turn?
Yes. Can I have your name and address, sir?
Certainly. My name is James McMillan. I live at 43 Bishop Street. I've lived there for 17 years. I have a couple of comments on the application. And I apologize. I only got home yesterday after an extended period away on business. These are not as perfectly organized as I would hope. I have reviewed some of the expert reports that were submitted. I've dealt with experts for 40 years. Some of them, if they tell you the sky is green, you can take it to the bank. Okay? Some of them, their opinion is going to look an awful lot like the opinion desired by the person who paid them. I don't know any of these experts. I don't know if anyone on the council knows these experts. But if you don't, I think it behooves us to take a look at some of these supporting documents, and I think there are significant problems with them. Now, the first point, obviously, is that the official plan, and I'm talking about the one that exists now, not the one that may exist at some point in the future, possibly before we're all dead. 5.5.1 says that what's built must be compatible with the existing built form. And now this is obviously a matter of opinion. Compatible is not subject to an algebraic formula. But I submit that what's planned here is not compatible with the built form on Bishop Street. The built form on Bishop Street is single-family dwellings with generous setbacks. This is none of the above. And it may very well be that at some point the various zoning grades or differentials will be collapsed. All I can say is I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it in the last 3 years. I don't know if I'm going to see it in the next 30. We stuck with what we've got. I do note that one of the plans appears to provide for a 33-foot wall 9 feet from my back garden. That's not compatible with the built form. It's also on the south side. Now in that garden, I grow food. I grow tomatoes, eggplant, zucchini of different types, various other vegetables. I've got a horseradish plant that you can probably smell from here. I'm not going to be able to do that with a 33-foot wall, 9 feet from the south side of my garden. The right of way minimum is 20 feet, according to the official plan. And the right of way into this area is exactly 20 feet, so it meets the minimum standard. I took a look at the environmental review. The first thing I noticed is that it's based on an 11-lot subdivision, and we're now talking about a 16-lot subdivision. Maybe it doesn't matter. And if that's the case, maybe the builder would like to build an 11-lot subdivision. We'll see if it matters to him. It matters to me. I also see that it was done in 2 periods of 15 minutes each. That raises a concern as to its thoroughness. I also note the only animal they could find was a chipmunk. If they couldn't find squirrels in that area, I have to have a real concern about how thoroughly this was done. If they couldn't find coyotes, I have a concern. And it looks more and more to me like whoever did this environmental study, whoever it is, and I've got no clue, couldn't pick them out of a lineup, gave it what my mother would call a lick and a promise. And that's not good enough. I also note a requirement in the environmental plan that the settlement and erosion measures be reviewed by a biologist. Now, maybe I'm old and I'm slipping, but I didn't see any report from a biologist on the settlement and erosion plans. So even based on their own expert on the environmental assessment, the application is insufficient. There are some other things that are an issue. I look at parking, and we heard Mr. Lundberg say that with respect to the previous application, you have to have 2 parking spaces per unit. Well, I've had a look at the draft plan that was provided, and unless everybody in there is driving smart cars, they're not providing 2 parking spaces per unit. I'd also point out that there is a bylaw about parking on the road during the winter, and it's important. So if they're going to have 16 units, they better show me where they've got 32 parking spaces, because the plan they've submitted doesn't have it. There's another question of paving. Bishop Street is not an asphalt road. It's cold paved, and that's been adequate. But there seems to be an assumption that we can simply increase the load by 50%, and that's not going to matter. I'm going to suggest to the council that if you're going to, quite apart from the load of construction vehicles coming and going for a year or 2, if you're going to increase traffic by 50%, your development fees had better allow for an asphalt road up Bishop Street. I'd also point out that there's no indication in the traffic report that anybody ever set foot on Bishop Street or ever laid eyes on it. You know, there's a hill on Bishop Street. I cycle around this area, and it is quite the hardest hill I've ever tried to go up. I've never tried to measure the angle of it because that would just be discouraging. But my point is that if you're going to increase traffic by, well, let's say ballpark 50%, since nobody who did the study apparently was ever on the road, there are children playing. At what point do we get to the stage where the risk to the children of this township is no longer acceptable in the name of economic gain for a stranger? You're going to have to pave that road, and you're going to have to put in a sidewalk. Or we could wait till the first kid dies, and then we can do it. It won't be any cheaper. There's a suggestion that 16 new residential units will increase sewer load by 6% of capacity. Well, I did pass high school arithmetic once. If 16 households is 6% of capacity, that means that the township council, way back when, must have built a sewer system designed for about 100 houses. Now, given that the street dead ends on the Duro-Dummer township line, we've got three possibilities. One is that it was happy days are here again when they hired the sewer contractor. Let's just build everything. Or it's possible that they plan to extend Bishop Street to someplace out around Warsaw. I submit neither one of those is a realistic explanation. The third explanation is that that 6% increase in load isn't right. I think somebody from the staff had better have a word with the people who live at the foot of that hill and see how many of them already have problems with sewer back. I think you'd better have a word as well with people who live up at the east end of Bishop Street about what their water pressure is actually like. I mean, I don't measure water pressure for a living. I do something. But I've lived an awful lot of places across Canada. And I can tell you that at 43 Bishop, the water pressure is, shall we say, unimpressive. I'm also curious about the fact that they plan to put a flushing-only hydrant in there. So we're going to have no fire hydrants on that street? Hands up everyone who thinks that's a good idea. Yeah. Another problem is runoff. Now, I will tell you flatly, I didn't want to make a thing out of this. I've been there 17 years. I'm used to it. But the water runoff storm sewer plan for Bishop Street is inadequate. I know this because every winter and spring, the north end of my driveway turns into a lake, and then it freezes. It's not fun. But you know, we're a small community. I haven't broken my hip yet. Whatever. The plan now is to add the runoff from about, as near as I can figure, about 2.5 acres to Bishop Street, where it is going to make a westward turn down the hill and run straight across my driveway. And if we can't do a storm sewer, could we at least get a lifeguard? Because it's not good enough. As I say, to this point, look, we're Lakefield, we're Selwyn, I put up with it. But I'm not putting up with the idea that we're going to double or triple it. That's not good enough. The other part is even more fun. The south end of this development will have runoff going into a creek. And I haven't heard anything about how they plan to mitigate the effect of that runoff into the creek. Now, I advised base commanders and brigade commanders in the Canadian Army for a quarter of a century. And one thing they all knew, which was not in the National Defense Act, is God help you if you have runoff into fish habitat. So what's the plan? The plan is to let it run off and hope maybe nobody notices. I should also point out that just as a personal matter, I don't like it. When I moved here 17 years ago, there was an idea that at some point somebody was going to build 8 units back there. I wasn't crazy about it. But at that point, the story also was that they were told if they wanted to build them, they had to replace the storm sewer all the way down to Concession Street because it wasn't adequate. Then it gets to 11 units. Then it gets to 16, and suddenly that storm sewer is good enough. Now, if we've developed the miraculous growing storm sewer, I can see a big income stream for the township because everybody's going to want one. But I don't think we have. And I think what we've got here is a plan that is designed to maximize profit for a developer who's prepared to play fast and loose with the effects it's going to have on the community. And I think it's up to this council to protect the community from those effects. Subject to any questions, Madam Mayor, those are my submissions.
Thank you very much for your presentation and your questions. And I'm going to look to I guess maybe Adam. There's quite a few questions with regards to paving on Bishop Street. Is there any plan to do that?
Through you, Madam Mayor, no, Bishop Street is a township road. We have no plans to pave that in the immediate future. I can address some of the comments, well, some of the questions, I guess, and it might be good if maybe the proponent weighs in on some of the proposals as well. With respect to stormwater management, I'm not a stormwater management expert. We did have this peer review as well, so we're taking the proponent's engineer's recommendations and we have our own consultant peer review that. So, I mean, it's not just coming from one individual, so it is peer review. Stormwater management is going down Bishop Street, but they're looking at a dedicated sewer that would run down Bishop Street because the ditches can't handle the adequate flow. So it doesn't in fact discharge the top end of Bishop Street and come down the ditches and culvert. It is directed through a stormwater management system to Concession Street. With respect to the sewer main is adequate capacity. 8-inch asbestos cement sewer was very common back in the 70s when they put it in. Is it oversized? For sure it is, but that's quite common to oversize sewer mains. It's a pretty standard size. Based on capacity calculations, you look at not only the size but the grade of the hill as well. So a lower gradient sewer main would have less capacity to work with. It's a steeper slope, you can accommodate more. So the 6% coming from the development isn't unrealistic going into an 8-inch sewer. It's there on Bishop Street. As far as water goes, there is adequate capacity. It is a low pressure area within the village. It's on a hill. It's to be expected. We have a fire hydrant up on the top end of that section that is a low pressure fire hydrant as well, a low flow hydrant, which the fire department is aware of. The fire department reviewed this and they're in consultation as well, and they were agreeable to not having a hydrant located on the site. What we deal with cul-de-sacs with respect to water main is oversizing water main creates dead ends. We want to reduce the residency time in water. So what we typically do, or we look to do now, is within cul-de-sacs size the water main based on the development's requirements. So in this case, we looked at a 2-inch water main instead of a 6-inch. 6 inches typically a minimum standard for a fire hydrant. That increases the turnover in the system, reduces residency time, and increases the quality of the water system. So that's why there's no hydrant there. What's at the end of that loop is a flushing hydrant so that we can just flush the water and turn it over. It's not intended for any kind of purposes. The fire department was consistent with using the hydrant on the top end of Bishop, as well as the hydrants located at Concession Street are high flow hydrants. So they said they would be prone to using those ones regardless anyway. Even if we did put a hydrant up there, they said they would still go down to Concession Street because they have a higher volume of flow, they would get a pressure. I don't know if there are any more questions. I can leave it to the proponent to answer any additional questions or maybe touch on the proposal as well.
There was a question with regards to water pressure that exists now.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, I just addressed that.
Sorry?
I just addressed that.
Okay.
Like, again, there's lots of hills in Lakeview. So when you're at the top of the hill, you are gonna be prone to having lower water pressure in the system. It's just hydraulics. With there having the booster station there isn't a lot we can do. It's been that way since the water main was put in. That section could have been in the 60 million. Through you, Madam Mayor, yeah, that's not really gonna affect the pressure. That would affect the volume really. And the consultant as well as our peer reviewer has reviewed the hydraulic modeling to say that that should not be an issue.
Right, so there was also a question with regards to parking spaces per unit.
So I can answer that. So there is definitely 2 parking spaces per unit, one of them in the driveway and one of them in a proposed garage for each unit. That satisfies our zoning regulations.
Right. Thank you. And there was mention that there should be a biologist to look at one of the reports that was there and that there was no biologist report.
So I believe the question was in regard to sedimentation erosion control plan. Regardless of whether or not that those have been included to date, sedimentation erosion control plan typically draft plan conditions of draft subdivision approval from the Conservation Authority and from the township. So there will be something in regard to sedimentation erosion control as part of like the whole detailed design project of the site.
Okay, thank you very much. And now I'm going to ask if there are any other people who are opposed to this application to go up to the microphone. I don't see anyone, so I will now bring it to council. Are there any questions from members of council? Deputy Mayor Black.
For you, Mayor, thanks for the presentation and the comments from the folks today. Mr. McMillan, you mentioned a 33-foot wall that will be on your south border. I'm asking staff to comment on that because I see a board fence there, which would be 8 feet.
6 feet.
Your mic's not on. Wrong.
The mic is on.
Get closer, they can't hear you.
No,
So you mentioned in your presentation that you were looking at a 33-foot wall on your south border.
Yes, the fence around our yard is 6 feet. That's because there's a pool in it and we're required to have a 6-foot fence. But the idea is that 9 feet past that, they're going to put up a 33-foot wall, 11-meter wall.
So for you, Mr. Mayor, can I get that comment on that?
Through your worship, I suspect the reference is in regard to the height of the building, so the rear portion of the building, due to the height of the building. So it's just a building design question. Building design will be in accordance with our zoning bylaw, even if so any building there's generally 11-meter height permissions on any lot through zoning regulations for most types of. I mean, it goes when you get into multi-story residential or R3 zone regulation, it increases, but for like R2 and R1, it's definitely 11 meters. I'd have to check on the R3 if it's still not 11 meters. I don't recall at the top of my head, but I think it's a height restriction that is referenced.
Okay, so thanks for the yeah, and I'm glad you did mention that. So single family R1 would still have 11 meters, so it's a 2-story building with the roof, regardless of whether it's a townhouse. You referenced it for a townhouse.
It's the
taller than a normal building, but it would be the same height restriction.
It's the setback I'm concerned about. There's no house on Bishop Street that has a 9-foot setback from anything.
Mayor, can you speak to that?
Oh, okay, I've got the plan open here. So I think in reference, so if it's a rear yard setback, it's definitely more than that, but it would end up being more of a side yard for the cul-de-sac development. And those are typically narrower regardless, right? They have a narrower side yard than a front or rear yard setback requirement. So yeah, that may very well be the case that you'll end up with a building at a certain setback in proximity to the side yard property.
And at that point, Madam Mayor, I return to the official plan compatible with the built form.
Follow up through Mayor again. So, one of the earlier comments from the county planner with respect to the official plan, and on another project I'm involved in, I was recommended by our consultants 3 years ago to wait for the new official plan because I didn't have to do the official plan on a piece of property, not the product thing we're working on. And so under the new official plan, they wouldn't have to go through plan subdivision and a public consultation. Is that correct?
Through you, Mary, would not need to go through an official plan amendment. The plan of subdivision would still be required.
Thank you. I enjoyed your phrase of the vagaries of approval. The definition of a term that I would like through you, Mayor Senes, because I also read all of the reports that you're referencing in preparation for this. And the one that confused me, and the one that you brought up, and I'm glad you have, is compatible with the built form. That seems, and that's why I talked about vagaries, vague. How does a township or the county define that? And is it possible to say, in the definition of whatever that phrase means, to say this building in this area is simply not compatible with the built form and therefore we won't allow it? Or is that phrase, if we can't do that, is this phrase empty?
Meaningless. Who you asking the question of, Councillor Boyko?
Through you, Mayor Senes, I ask whoever can answer it from the county or from our plan.
But not Mr.
Surely I'll ask you too. Whoever wants. I'm just asking.
Councillor Boyko.
I'm asking the two planners.
I can answer.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, like architectural control and the mechanisms to have architectural control through Planning Act applications, I want to say eliminated from the plan. It's just not a consideration. Because of the housing crisis, the provincial direction is put housing where you can put housing in all its various forms. So some municipalities prior to current zoning regulations had they're called now urban design guidelines. So that would start to deal with this kind of the look and feel. I mean, those have not been present in Peterborough County. We haven't used those types of guidelines ever, but it would be questionable whether we could even implement them at this point, given the removals of some of the permissions and direction under the Planning Act and provincial policy along those lines. So basically, the promotion is the direction from the provincial policy is we're to support all building forms within our municipalities. And so what as you were saying earlier too, with our new official plan, it aligns with that direction in that the residential designation is more permissive of all built form, including multi-story. And when we come to our comprehensive zoning bylaw that we had a report about earlier, we may end up with, say, one residential zone that permits all built form. It's not off the table. It may be split into two. We have yet to see once we do our comprehensive review of our zoning bylaw, but it may be very different than what's currently existing with this division between single, semis, and multi-residential.
Okay. Follow up, if I could, and I ask if you have any comments on this too. It seems to me that compatible with built form allows, if council wants to interpret it a certain way, to say we don't believe that the building of a certain building use this as an example, a 32-foot building 9 feet from my property line should be appropriate because it is going to negate my ability to enjoy my property. Am I right in saying that's not a factor? We can't consider it, despite the fact that it is now in existence, compatible with the built form. Council's role in this is to shrug and say, build whatever you want.
Yes, Rob.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we have lots of instances where we have residential building lots that face one street and lots that face a perpendicular street, where you'll have a similar situation as what is potentially proposed here, where you're going to have a side yard lot backing onto someone else's rear yard lot. I think that's an important point that needs to be brought here. It's not that we're allowing someone's rear yard to butt up to someone else's rear yard with a significantly reduced required yard. It is that configuration that is placing a side yard adjacent to this individual's rear yard. That needs to be considered because it's not, I don't think, clearly being articulated that particular layer of this subdivision.
All right, are there any other questions? Seeing none. So we have before us a recommendation. This is to defer this decision. And the reason for that is when we deal with subdivisions, that is what we do. We give the public meeting for the public to give us all of their comments and questions and hopefully get them answered. And so that's why we're deferring this particular decision to a future date. But it's also because of the land transfer between the municipality and the developer. That's not been sorted out, so there won't be a decision made today. So in front of us is a recommendation. I'm looking for someone to move it. Councillor Henry, seconded by Councillor Koulis. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We have consent items, and there are a couple that have been asked to be pulled. The first one is 5B, and we'll go with that first. Deputy Mayor Black, you've asked for that to be pulled.
Yep, thank you to Mayor Senes. Again, a good news letter as part of our agenda today. That the township has received confirmation from Hydro One that they are contributing $100,000 in support for the Innismore Community Centre floor replacement project. It's part of Ontario Hydro's Community Investment Fund that supports municipalities that may be impacted by capital projects, which Hydro One has underway. In this case, it's the Durham Fourth Power Line project that will land at the Dobbin transfer station in Peterborough County, Sutherland Township. When that's complete, it's going to improve service reliability for homes and businesses and support economic growth in the area. Township is very appreciative, and members of council are very appreciative. Very meaningful contribution to the replacement of the floor project. The project has a total estimated cost of $1.9 million, and we're hoping to complete that in 2026. Township's also applied for provincial funding under the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund program as a way of funding investments for that program. So just wanted to publicly thank Hydro One for an amazing contribution of $100,000 to that job, to that project.
And further to that, would we send a letter to Hydro thanking them for their contribution from council and staff?
Yeah, for sure, we could do that, and I'm sure there will be an opportunity for them to make an official announcement. It's just they haven't really decided when that will be at this point.
Maybe when the floor's going in.
Potentially, or when their project starts in Peterborough County.
Yeah, do you need a motion for a letter, or?
Sure, I think that would be nice.
I'll move the letter.
It could just be part of the
Deputy Mayor Black, seconded by Councillor Koulis. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. The next thing to be pulled is number 14 of the correspondence, number 6, and that was Deputy Mayor Black.
Thank you. Through you again, Mayor Sennis. Just wanted to have the pleasure of being the chair of the newly merged Halbern, Fourth, and Northumberland Peterborough Public Health Unit, and the health unit is undergoing a review from a governance perspective and is looking for additional public appointees to the board. The merger is now complete, and through the governance committee, we surveyed the board's current members from a skills perspective and identified gaps that would help the board work more effectively for the residents. Currently, there are 9 municipal members of the board, 5 provincial appointees, and 2 First Nations appointees. And the province is allowed up to 1 less than municipal complement, which would be 8, currently at 5. So all public appointees to the current board were given a 1-year appointment to the end of this year, and then there would be reappointments after that. So we're really looking for members that have, sorry here, okay. Yeah, so we're looking for applications from people that have candidates with knowledge and related skills in the areas of advocacy, health system funding and administration, and Indigenous governance, legal, public, and population health science, and the assessment and analysis of those types of things. The deadline is July 25th, so it's fairly soon. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
So if you would like to move those 2 that you pulled, and I can get a seconder for Councilor Boyko, all in favor, carried. There's 1 more to be pulled, and then we will deal with the other consent items. That is lower 8A.
8C. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Sennis. This is the 6th one down on that list from the Peterborough Police Services. It's entitled Infographics. This comes out every quarter from the Peterborough Police Service, where I serve as the Lakeville liaison. And I've never brought council's attention to it before, but I wanted to bring council's attention to it this time because of one aspect of that report. Speeding of people in Lakefield is something that I hear about a lot, and both emails and phone calls and people stopping me, usually in the post office where most good meetings in Lakefield happen. And I want to let people know that I am, the council note, that I bring this to the attention of the Police Services Board in almost each of our monthly meetings. Staff Sergeant Jeff Charche has been terrific in doing a great deal to try to deal with the speeding issue in Lakefield. The armadillo, which is like the OPP thing, but it's called an armadillo. It looks like about the size of a laptop. You put it on a post, and it measures the speed of people going both ways over a number of usually 3 to 4 weeks. We have had them so far on Hague Boulevard, and we've had it on Ermatinger, and we've had it twice on Queen Street. And in each of those times, it's been consistent to show that while some people are speeding, the vast majority of people that are speeding, if the speed limit is 50, they're speeding at a limit of 54, 53, 55. Every once in a while, somebody will scream by, and usually they're doing that late at night. And the police are well aware of the places where they need to, they need more presence as a result of the armadillo results. You will notice on that infographic, if you've clicked over, that it says there have been 60 provincial offenses. Almost all of them have been for speeding, and that's in the first few months from January till March. So while the armadillo has been very good in showing that while speeding is an issue, it's not a crisis, it is being dealt with. There's another thing in the infographic that's interesting, I think, that I have now asked for actual numbers to be put in, because it says the increase in criminal calls in Lakefield has gone up 53%. All that means is it's gone up from 9 to 17. So There's no crime wave in Lakeville. The other thing that has been done with respect, and I thank County Council for this, with respect to speed and safety in Lakefield, is the school safety zone. Very pleased that that is being implemented and that the sign coming into Lakefield from the south that used to slow people down to 60 is now slowing people down to 50 much earlier before they arrive into the village. And I'm looking forward to more changes to implement around the school safety zone. If that is coming, I certainly hope that it is, because especially for drop off and pick up, that is dangerous for parents, grandparents, and children. So I wanted to bring that attention to council, just to let council know that while a number of people are talking about speeding in Lakefield, it is being dealt with. A lot of people are still talking about the traffic volume in Lakefield, the traffic as a result of parking problems in Lakefield, and that is before Bishop Street or certainly Lakefield North. So it's going to be interesting going forward, but it is being dealt with right now as the police have been doing, as I have said. So that is all I wanted to comment on, unless there's any questions. Thank you. I will move that report.
And now I need someone to move about that items. Councillor Henry and Councillor Poulos, all in favor. It's carried, thank you. We're going to other new unfinished business. Councillor Poulos.
Through you. So this past weekend we celebrate 200 years of Ennismore through the Heritage Day celebration. I think we should send a letter of thank you for this event to the committee who organized it, because they took on a lot in a short period of time, and it was a great success. So I'd like to move a motion to send a letter to them.
Councillor Poulos, seconded by Deputy Mayor Black, all in favor. That's carried, thank you. Also, I would ask council's indulgence in sending a letter of congratulations to Susan Zambonin for the Terry Petkow Legacy Award with Habitat for Humanity. Is the highest award for staff leadership, and I think it would behoove us to send a letter to congratulate her. If I could have someone move that. Councillor Henry, second by Councillor Poulos, all in favor. Carrie, thank you. Any other new unfinished business? Oh, okay, we will go to the bylaws. As our clerk is vacated. Deputy Clerk, would you like to take over with the bylaws?
Sure. So we have bylaw 2025-53, and that's to authorize the Hydro One Community Investment Fund, the contribution letter, to execute that. And that's all we have.
Great. Have someone move that. Councillor Henry, Deputy Mayor Black, all in favor. That's carried. And 2025-055 is the confirming bylaw. Councillor Poulos, Councillor Boyko, in favor. That's carried. And adjournment. Councillor Henry, Deputy Mayor Black, all in favor. Carried. Thank you very much. Have a great night.